In what appears to be an effort to distract attention from the New Hampshire primary results last night, President Biden and Vice President Harris actually held a pro-abortion rally in Virginia last night together. This is their first joint campaign appearance in 2024, and it was all about abortion. Although the president did say something I want to point out, because the former governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, was there. So play clip number 8.
Hello, Virginia. And the real governor, Terry McAuliffe.
Was that a statement by an election denier? The real governor, Terry McAuliffe, who was actually defeated? Is that? Interesting. But their focus, even though his speech was often interrupted by pro-Hamas hecklers, the president made clear that Democrats' devotion, their devotion to abortion, will be the central theme of his 2024 campaign. Now, I discussed earlier in the program that voters are actually focused on immigration and inflation. Yet President Biden and the Democrats want to campaign on their commitment to killing babies in the womb. I mean, here's the deal. It doesn't matter what the question is. The president's answer is abortion. I mean, it just doesn't matter. Mr. President, how are you going to deal with the border crisis? Codify Roe v. Wade. Mr. President, how are you going to address inflation impacting America's working families? Reproductive freedom. I mean, it's like one of those dolls where you pull the string and it's all that comes out. Joining me now to discuss this and more, Congressman Rich McCormick. He serves on the House Foreign Affairs Committee and the House Armed Services Committee. He's also a medical doctor, and he is on the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology, represents the 6th Congressional District of Georgia, and he is also a decorated Marine helicopter pilot. And as I said, he's a doctor in the ER room. Dr. McCormick, Semper Fi, and welcome back to Washington Watch.
Semper Fi, good to be with you today.
So, the president, first campaign stop with the vice president, and it's all about abortion. Do they think they're going to get a repeat of 2022 and Republicans are just going to allow the Democrats to define this debate?
Well, they're trying to find something that the populist movement works with. I think it's ultimately hypocritical that everybody who's talking about the pro-choice has been given the choice of life that they're all living. None of them have been aborted. Ultimate hypocrisy that they talk about the rights of minorities, where a vast preponderance of the abortions by percentage are done amongst minorities. The fact is, if you want to talk about a populist movement, they're on the losing side of the budget with the debt, with crime, with the border, with energy, with education, with smaller government. They needed something to find a popular movement, but quite frankly, most of America does not want to see late-term abortions anyway, so they're on the wrong side of history in that too.
So is that what this is about? It's about distracting. Don't look what we've not been able to do or the mess that we've created. We want to talk about abortion.
They're just trying to grab at straws now. What can we find that the vast preponderance or at least a majority of Americans agree with? Now, there may be the majority of America wants some sort of choice, but that's not going to win an election by itself. And certainly, like you said, I think over time, was developed when we find our morality and when we find what's right, what's good for human dignity, for the rights of women who are unborn as well as born. I think we'll be on the right side of history on this.
I think you're absolutely right. We have a bad connection. We're gonna reconnect with you, and so because I want to make sure that our listeners have the benefit of hearing everything that you say. We got Dr. McCormick back on. Dr. McCormick, I want to play a clip from Nancy Pelosi. She was her voice was also in on this yesterday. Clip number 14.
There will be a national ban on access to an abortion. So the election's about freedom, democracy, yes, writ large, but it's also about your personal freedom in your lives.
Okay, so there's a lot of problems with that statement, but first, this talk about a national ban on abortion. This is the Democrats projecting because the only bill that's been on the House floor was Nancy Pelosi's bill, the Women's Health Protection Act, which codified Roe v. Wade, abortion until birth, in federal statute and eliminated almost every pro-life law across the nation. I mean, they're trying to scare the public when they're the ones that are actually trying to impose their view on Americans.
Absolutely, and you're talking about the most extreme views that are not supported by the majority of Americans, where you could literally take a baby that's minutes, maybe seconds away from taking its first breath and eliminate that life as if that was okay, as if that was moral, as if the people support that. That's how extreme they are, and then they call us the extremists. The people have spoken. We've been fighting for these rights for the unborn children for a long time. I think those people who want to deny what the Bible says, what morality has indicated, what so many other, well, everybody alive has been given that opportunity to live and make their choices and to succeed and fail as Americans. That's being taken away from both men and women who are unborn. And I think, like I said, it's the ultimate hypocrisy when you talk about these people who have been given the choice to live, taking it away from somebody else, to have that chance to succeed and to be blessed by God in the ways that they've been set aside as unique individuals created in God's womb, known from the time that they're created in God's womb, according to the Word. And there's so many people who say that they believe in the Bible who like to deny that part of the Bible.
Right. What encourages me, let me just say this. One, you are one of the reasons I'm encouraged, Dr. McCormick, because you're openly talking about this issue. In 2022, in the midterm elections, so many Republicans, they didn't talk about it. They didn't know really what to say. But it's not really, as you said, it's not difficult. We just go back to what we've been saying for nearly 50 years. We need to protect unborn children. Let them talk about abortion. We're going to talk about unborn children and their mothers and making sure they're not scarred for life, because we don't want them to be deceived and led down a deceptive path at a time of crisis.
That's right, and that's why we need to make it very easy for them to give them up for adoption. Like, there's a long list of people waiting to give these children a really good home, a really good chance of not just surviving, but thriving, being the most productive people in society. Two of my best friends, one of them the Marines, I can't imagine this world without them. I mean, they're some of the most highly productive, best friends, most moral, most beneficial to society kind of people that you'd ever meet in your life. And had they been not given that chance, we wouldn't have them. I wouldn't have a best friend. I wouldn't have people who would literally take a bullet for me, who take in the controls when something going wrong in the aircraft. When I was a Marine Corps pilot, somebody who would watch after you if you're jumping out of an aircraft, or somebody who'd give you their last dollar when you're in need. I mean, these are the kind of people that are not going to be here for us. You're talking about some of your children's best friends.
Right.
You're talking about leaders in the church, leaders in society, leaders in politics, scientists, doctors, ministers, you name it.
That's such a good point, Congressman McCormick, because that is what the Biden administration and the left has signaled they're going to do in the 2024 election. They want to tell stories of how women have been impacted since the court overturned Roe v. Wade. Well, that's what they do. They want to tell these stories, and some of them true, some of them I don't think are so true. But that's what we need to do. We need to talk about the person sitting next to you that wouldn't be here if someone had not chosen life for them or given them up for adoption when they were faced with a crisis pregnancy.
That's right. And every time I'm asked, I'm an ER doc, and they ask me, well, what about the idea where the woman would be harmed or killed if they don't terminate the pregnancy? Well, first of all, if the woman's going to die, the baby's going to die too. So let's not be absurd. Right. There's never a case where I can draw up where you can keep the baby alive in order to kill the mom. I mean,
let me just stop you right there, because that is an extremely important point, because the mother is the first patient. And the mother is always to be attended to first, because you're not going to save the baby and let the mother die. That's just not going to happen. That is a red herring. It's a false argument that they're putting forth.
And every time I'm asked by media about that, I say, well, give me a scenario. And they can't. And what's funny, I can give you two scenarios that they would love to try to. One is, let's say there's a woman who was in a car crash, and you're going to deliver the baby, and the woman's dying anyways. If you deliver the baby, you actually give your mother a better chance of survival. not by aborting the baby, but by actually delivering the baby. Now, if the baby's premature, then there's nothing I can do about it anyways. If the mother does, like I said, the baby will die. But there was one instance, and my wife is an oncologist, and she had a patient. And I'll tell you one instance where you could maybe make a case. Let me tell you what happened with that case. You had a woman with metastatic cancer, hundreds of tumors all over her body, including her brain, her liver, metastatic. She was early in her pregnancy, and she's told, if you get an abortion, we could try to give you chemo now, try to get you radiated now, and we'll extend your life. Otherwise, you're probably going to die a lot faster by proceeding with this pregnancy and delaying your treatment. Well, she made a choice. She made a choice to keep the baby at her own peril, that she would progress more rapidly without the treatment. She delivered the baby. They started aggressive chemotherapy, aggressive radiation, and let me tell you the synopsis of this. It's the one scenario I thought, well, okay, you can make a case here. Well, ironically, she made the choice for the life of her child. She is now a miracle. She is cancer-free, almost a decade out. She's had 2 more children, which is all impossible because she made the right choice. And that's the only case I can ever come up with. And so there you have it. Just another story created by God to show why life is important and why He is in control.
Wow. A powerful story. And again, that's what I think needs to be highlighted in this discussion. I do not think Republicans need to back up at all and apologize for wanting to protect the unborn and their mothers from the horrors of abortion.
Indeed, we would be bad people if we believe that that's life. If we believe that God has known that life since the creation, the knitting together in the mother's womb, wouldn't we be kind of bad people for not standing up for that life? I'm not trying to vilify anybody. I'm just literally standing up for what I believe is God created life.
I agree. But what does this tell us as a nation if we just step back dispassionately, if we can, and I honestly I don't think we can, and we probably shouldn't even try to be dispassionate about this. But when you have one party that this is at the heart of their campaign to get control and to lead this nation is on abortion. That's what they're leading with. That's their priority. What does that tell you?
It tells me they will do anything to be elected, anything that's bad for the nation, bad for morality. All they care about is power. They'll open the southern border. They'll transform the United States with people who are not allowed to work, who are totally dependent on the government, knowing it's not good for the United States, but knowing it will keep them in power if they're able to do it. They will stop at nothing to stay in power. And this is just another example of how morality doesn't matter. Yeah. The future of this nation doesn't matter. All that matters is their power. They want the government to be God. They want government to determine morality. They want the government to determine business. They want the government to determine medicine. They want government to be the ultimate deciding factor in your life. They do not believe in the freedom of individuals or in the sovereignty of God.
And if you will not protect the most innocent and vulnerable in our society, who will you protect? Dr. McCormick, thank you so much for joining us today. Always great to talk with you. Thanks so much.
God bless you. Semper Fi.
All right.